Hello, everybody. This is Dean, and my goal with my channel is to try to inform you, give you some thoughts and things to ponder when it comes to technology. And today, we're specifically going to be talking about why would you upgrade from an iPhone X to the iPhone 11 Pro. Please subscribe to this channel, and if you would like to, turn the notifications on, and I would really appreciate it. Now, let's compare these phones. All right, here we go. We've got the new iPhone 11 Pro. Fixing to open it and compare the iPhone X and whether you should upgrade or not. So let's go ahead and open this gold color. Packaging's very nice. Actually matches this table pretty well. And there we have it. No plastic on the back, so be very careful if you're going to open these things. Look how beautiful that is. It's really like a rose gold, so if people are wondering. There we go. Okay, so today our main purpose is to look and determine whether it would be worth it to upgrade to the new iPhone 11 Pro, particularly coming from the iPhone X or the iPhone 10, which is what I have right here. So, which is what I have and what a lot of people bought into a couple years ago. A lot of people passed up on the iPhone XS, and therefore a big question mark in their mind. And the reason why it's a big question mark, just to go ahead and hammer this out, we'll talk about it later, is knowing if you follow iPhone and if you follow Apple at all, knowing that in 2020 we are expecting very big things from Apple. But is it still worth it to go ahead and upgrade with their upgrade program, which we'll go over here in a little bit, as far as is it worth it to you as of right now, regardless of what happens next year. So let's get right into it and take a look at it. We're going to mainly just go over the big highlighted features of the big differences between these phones. So as you can see here, we have one iPhone X and we have two iPhone 11 Pros. And of course, you're noticing right away that this is one big difference from the one 2 years ago, which would be the actual gold version. Now, I call it rose gold, but ultimately the rose gold, or the gold, however you call it, was not around 2 years ago, but it was around last year if you did upgrade to the XS. But regardless, that is a big difference. And another big difference is the matte finish of the glass versus the gloss finish. And I'm not going to go over all the other subtle differences. I'm mainly going to be looking at the actual hardware, software that actually is going to be beneficial to you on why you might be interested in upgrading. So let's kind of cut to it, and we'll try to keep this video as quick as possible. It would be impossible for me to not start with the obvious, which are the cameras. So with your iPhone X, if you're an iPhone X user, your base 2-camera system, ultimately you have a dual 12 megapixel wide and telephoto lens. Very good camera, got lots of compliments of it. It's an incredible camera. At the end of the day, it's got portrait mode, it's got true depth, it's got all these things, 1080p, recording in true depth and all that. So ultimately, it's an incredible camera, nothing knocking it at all. At the end of the day, it's about options and more and more and more. So what you have here with the iPhone 11 Pro, what you have is 3 cameras, and ultimately what you get is a 2 times optical out and an optical in order to give you an ultra wide 2.4 aperture for a super wide angle. So anyone that's done any kind of video or any kind of photo, a lot of the times we're in close environment, like we go to Disney all the time, and it's constantly trying to say, hey, back up so I can get you all in the picture. So ultimately, if you have a lot of those scenarios, this is going to be a huge improvement for you with regards to that. It's going to be the wide angle mode to be able to provide that for you. Same thing with video as well. The other thing that it has, just to kind of go over the few huge differences, is night mode. And you know, you can go online and see some of the differences. Everyone's going around taking pictures of the differences between the night mode of the Galaxy, the night mode of the One Note, and basically the comparison of what you're going to get with night mode, and it is incredible. Basically, the Apple iPhone 11 Pro is really outshining all the competition with regards to the camera. So if you're a camera person, it's really kind of a no-brainer, regardless of all the other features that I might go over with you. The true depth portion of this, where you're actually doing more advanced true depth, you're actually going to get 12 megapixel camera capability with this versus only 7. And you're also going to get 4K at 60 frames per minute versus only 1080 at 30 frames per minute. So that's in video mode. You're basically going to get more megapixel in true depth, and you're going to get 4K, and you're going to get 60 frames per minute. As quickly as I say these features, if you know anything about cameras, you know that those are absolutely huge differences. And so once again, if you're a person that uses your camera all the time and you do not have a DSLR or anything like that, and this literally is becoming your life, and you take a lot of photography and videos, this is the camera for you. And quite frankly, the price difference with Apple's trade-in program, which I'll go ahead and go over before we go to these other features, is they're giving you $400 trade-in credit for a $999 phone. Ultimately, it comes down to $599 to upgrade to this phone from a 2-year-old model phone. I felt like it was worth the upgrade. I'll be sending this thing back to Apple here in the next few days after I get everything transferred and all that. But ultimately, I determined based on all the other features that we talk about. But if you're a camera person, $599 to get all these camera features is going to be well worth it. But on top of all that, on top of all the camera features, including the video, there is a new feature that I have to mention. If you're big time into videos, it's actually called audio zoom. And what it does is allows you to actually zoom into a particular person or figure or activity, whether it be a waterfall or an actual person talking. And basically the audio will capture what you're zooming in on versus the background information. And it won't just amplify the person, it actually is a little bit more advanced to that versus other phones on the market that are touting the same thing. Apple's got it down to a very high level, hence the Pro name. And so therefore I can attest to that is definitely a real deal, the real deal when it comes to cameras. Now going on to the chip, at the end of the day, these are just advanced changes. So the A11 versus the A13 chip, with regards to that, the Bionic chip, just huge 2 years improvement to upgrade your old phone to this phone is big. Probably one of the next biggest things aside from the camera is actually the battery life. So this phone versus the iPhone 10 is actually 4.5 hours more battery life for your day, and that's approximately, it's getting close to 50% increase in battery life. And if you have an iPhone XS, by the way, it's actually 4 hours improvement from that. So the XS was only 5.5 hours more than the iPhone X. So I just wanted to kind of point that out. So battery life is absolutely huge. I mean, it would be no problem for you to should get a full day, if not a day and a half, maybe even 2 days, depending on if you're a light user and you're not doing a lot of stuff. But definitely an improvement to where for sure a full day, even for heavy users. Something small, I mean, obviously we have I have a pool, but if you are one that is active and you are around water, it's important to note that these new phones are covered up to 40 meters. I mean, 4 meters, I apologize. 4 meters for 30 minutes versus only 1 meter on the iPhone X. So if you have a pool that's got more than 3 feet of water like we do, we have up to 6 feet. Most pools you have up to 8 or 10 feet. It's good to know that actually 4 meters for 30 minutes. If you end up accidentally getting thrown in the pool or whatever, the phone will actually cover you and is certified for that. One thing that I found that not a lot of people are talking about is the actual contrast ratio. So when you actually look at the phones and you actually do look at the contrast ratio of the two phones, you actually will see quite substantially a lot of the details is going to come out and a lot of depth from the new phone. So just important to kind of bring out the actual contrast. This one is going to be overly trying to overcompensate the details of the image by bringing out the brightness. That's just what the iPhone X's did. Because of the depth and the contrast of color though, you can actually now see more gradient with regards to the true colors of the iPhone 11 Pro. So you're looking at 2 million to 1 contrast ratio versus 1 million to 1. So literally double contrast ratio with regards to that. And while we're on that, it's important to note that the lumens or the brightness of the phone actually increased by over 10%. So you're just over right around 800 brightness versus like 625 on the iPhone X. So the brightness is actually better whenever you actually turn it on to those features. Your depth is better from a viewing experience, so you're going to get that as well. Now they've talked about this as far as the glass. The glass is actually stronger, so the fear of dropping your phone. Now, of course, I highly recommend that you put a case on, which, by the way, I'm going to do another video. I love clear cases, and I actually have another one, the actual OtterBox, that we're going to review as well. So stay tuned, subscribe to this channel, and click the notifications. But I'm planning on actually doing a full review on 4 of the what I would consider the top clear cases that to cover your beautiful new iPhone. So we'll cover that later. One thing important to note though that you're not going to be able to capture too much in this video is the actual size difference. It is important to note with that increased battery life that you are getting a 0.02 inch increase in height, width, and depth. That's 0.02. I'm just trying to show via the video, which may be hard to do, but it is noticeable. You can see the actual differences, particularly in the depth, but you can see it in the width just ever so slightly. But when you do compare, it's just important to point out that you are going to see an increase in phone. And just to kind of point out the biggest difference when all those things add up, you're looking at a 0.49 ounce more weight, or 14 grams. And all of us, we have 3 of these for our family, and all of us can notice a difference. I mean, there is a difference. So if you're ultra sensitive to that, then that's something that you may want to take in consideration with regards to that. But ultimately we felt like the increase in battery life, the camera does not protrude as much, which I will probably demonstrate more when we go over these cases. I have seen some already drop tests without any cases, and one thing's for sure is this phone held up extremely well all the way up until about 10 feet high. So that's really reassuring. Technology in these glass cases are definitely getting better, and definitely giving us more confidence, with our phone. Still would recommend a case at the end of the day because they are expensive to replace. But so when you take in consideration the increase in camera, the increase in chip speed, just the increase in technology, the increase in battery life, the stronger glass, and also the contrast ratio, your whole experience is going to be better. One thing I didn't mention that as a closing note is Face ID is faster, and it does capture more angles. So when you're looking at the phone at different angles, it will capture your face more. I can validate that. Now, will it capture my face in all the scenarios that I can think of? I'm still working on that, but just wanted to kind of make that mention to you that it will improve. It is better, and if that's been a concern of yours, try it out. You have time if you want to upgrade and try it out or whatever, and then if you decide, you don't have to turn this in for 14 days. So you're able to do the deal, buy it up front, the $1,000, and then you have 14 days to return this, or you can of course cancel the program. So if you do try it and you're like, you know what, I'm going to wait until next year, which is definitely a good argument. We just felt like that this was a hard deal to not get at $599, brand new iPhone with all of these features, but ultimately it comes down to the camera and the battery life. Those are really the two biggest ones, and just having a new internals of an iPhone that's 2 years newer. And that way next year, who knows, we may pass up on the first version of this brand new 2020 iPhone, which is something that we're considering, where, you know what, maybe we'll wait until 2021. There's going to be so many new features, potentially fingerprint ID again on the screen. How well is that going to work? Will the 2021 iPhone be the S model, if you will? And therefore, having this phone, we felt like would be a good one to have potentially for a couple years. Wait on the 5G. I know we'll be waiting on a lot of other things, but who knows, maybe this phone will be worth so much next year to where we will maybe even trade in for the 2020, but we'll cross that bridge when it comes. So I hope you liked this video. Once again, if you want to hear more and more comparisons, subscribe to the channel and do the notifications if you like. I don't do a lot of videos, so please subscribe, just from the standpoint you won't get inundated with a lot of stuff, but hopefully it'll be valued. Thank you.